Welcome back. We've been looking at the issue of declaration of assets, and Alhaji Buba has been giving us insight into how best to make holders of public office more accountable and the role of the Code of Conduct Bureau. While back here in the studio, I'd like to throw the question we asked Alhaji Buba before we took that break back at both of you in another way. If the searchlight is being beamed on a single person, so much attention is being directed at the Senate President, would you say the Code of Conduct Bureau is being selective in doing its job?
No, I wouldn't say that. Because first and foremost, in criminal matters, there are no statutes of limitation. You can be investigated for 10, 15, 20 years. All we ask most of these investigating agencies is that rather than rush to court, we want to see a watertight case. So at the end of the day, when you present the fact before the judge, they will be overwhelming that the person would say, look, I did this. And then you can now begin to talk about plea bargaining or whether the person is going to jail. And then secondly, I can't remember any of these political office holders that was prosecuted immediately after leaving office. The case of Tinubu that was cited, he was on his asset declared in 1999. And he was prosecuted in 2010, 2011. Asset declared that he had foreign accounts he maintained foreign account while in office. It is almost the same thing with this one. And so for me, basically, the issue is, if you feel that these are frivolous and is witch hunting, the best place to present your defense is before the code. Present your defense before them, and then the code will look at the matter on the merit and say, okay, we discharge and acquitted you. We saw what happened with the Boris case, and at the end of the day, the same man that was charged for 173 count charge and could not be convicted in Nigeria was convicted just on 4 count charge in London. And so in the same vein, and in concluding, for lack of time, my issue is whether it is Saraki today or whether it was 13 years ago. I want to assume, also we have talked about capacity for the Code of Conduct. I want to assume that this is the time that the Code of Conduct have been able to put their hearts together because of capacity. And so we need to strengthen the Code of Conduct so that we don't have to wait for 13 years for them to begin to prosecute public office holders. We want to see immediate prosecution. But whether it was 13 years ago, whether it was 20 years ago, it is better late than never.
Okay, Dr. Nweze, do you think the situation between the leadership of the All Progressives Congress and the Senate President has any role to play whatsoever? Do you think his allegation of witch hunting holds water?
The thing I keep saying, that the way that young man came into office is still, some people have not recovered from the shock. and again, he has, I have a feeling that he has an overarching ambition, which, if not checked, might upset, in the future. So everything is being done now to make sure that the guy is cut to size or checkmated, so that it doesn't upset, the status quo, the way people are. Yes, you can't rule it out. There is always an element of politics. And that also leads me to the next point, that Nigerian leaders, Nigerian politicians, whatever you are, wherever you are in a position of authority, you must learn how to respect that seat that you are sitting on. Are you a bank manager? Respect that seat. Are you a president? Respect that seat. And then people, when you respect that seat, people will now be able to respect that seat as well. And then, if we have to be careful now. Nigeria today is no longer Nigeria of 10 years, of 20 years ago, 30 years ago, because technology and other stuff, whatever you did thinking that when Nigerians were asleep, somebody might wake up in the morning and, that's the lesson that we have to learn from Saraki.
So are you saying, in essence, Dr. Nweze, that it's a crime, or is it a crime to be ambitious?
No, it's not a crime. But again, some people may feel that, hey, some people are threatened already because of this man's ambition.
No, but in politics, you have to match your ambition with reality. Remember, Julius Caesar was killed for being ambitious.
Yeah, but
presume ambition.
Yes, but and again, don't forget this man. He has been able to build bridges across all political divides.
Yeah, but
so some people are not comfortable.
But the question we ask, those of us lay people who are not part of these political office holders is, are your hands clean? He who comes to equity must come with clean
that's
hands.
the point I'm
Whether
making.
ambition, whether you are building bridges, whether you want to rule Nigeria, are your hands clean? And like we say in my local parlance, you don't, rub fuel on your body and stay by the fireside.
That's the point where I'm also making, that we need to be careful wherever we are in our little corner. Whatever we do today may come out to haunt us tomorrow.
All right, thank you very much, Dr.
Well, I understand that we need to get the thoughts of Alhaji Buba on this matter on a final note. And the question, finally, I would like to put to him is that aside from the empowering of a handicapped CCB Code of Conduct Bureau, on a final note, how do you think the CCB should proceed from this point onwards, now that these issues about witch hunting has been raised?
Before I answer your question, let me respond or make an observation on what the gentleman just finished saying. You see, because of ambition, if you cannot go and cut down the ambition of any person in the court, court has no powers to cut your ambition. So what court has to do with your ambition? Your ambition can be cut down by your political party during your primaries, during your screening, or anything. But when it comes to court, it has nothing to do with one's ambition, irrespective of the circumstances of his emergence. I don't think that is tenable. At any rate, for the Code of Conduct Bureau to be empowered and be effective, I have this suggestion. Because you are not employ so many people like that. So what will happen is, if it is acceptable, I think they will have to draw an operational guideline that will empower them to delegate this authority to every head of ministry, in conjunction with the head of civil service of the Federation, to have a desk officer in all government establishments where declaration will be submitted to. Is just a delegation of responsibility. Now, instead of engaging themselves in the distribution, collection of this thing, it has been decentralized. Now their primary responsibility is to go ministry by ministry, carry out the verification. That way it will be easier.
All right, thank you very much, Alhaji Buba, for your thoughts. Thank you so much. So back to you, Dr. Nweze. Tell us your final thoughts on the matter.
Yeah, my final thought is that two things we can do, one of two. Scrap the code, and then let the National Assembly and other things find a way of, domiciling that within this thing, because we have seen that problem solving in Nigeria is you create another problem in order to solve a problem.
All right, thank
so
you very
we need to really rethink it and see a way of decentralizing or scrap the code completely.
Thank you very much.
My final take is, while we're doing all of this, we should learn to build lasting institutions, empower the code of conduct to ensure that they carry out their responsibility to the barest minimum. With that, you'll be able to not just prosecute political office holders, even the small local government worker that corruptly enrich himself also will face the wrath of the law.
All right, thank you very much. Well, let's take a look at some of your responses now. Well, we have a tweet from @DaVinci077. He says, if public servants declare assets to the Code of Conduct Bureau before taking office, why doesn't the CCB tell us their assets at the exit of the same?
Well, the other tweet that came in from a Just Bright 100,000 says CCB should be empowered not just to investigate properties of public officers, they should be mandated to publish it for all to see. Very loud and clear.
Well, the truth of the matter is that for personal interest not to conflict with responsibilities of governance, It is essential for political office holders to willingly and relentlessly make a public declaration of their assets in line with the principles of accountability and responsibility to the people.
Well, it is at this point that I would like to say a very big thank you to our guests in the studio here, Dr. Austin Nweze and Mr. Liborous Oshoma, and over there in Abuja, Alhaji Mustapha Buba. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you indeed. While on behalf of myself, Emana Amawe,
and Charles Aruka,
and the rest of the crew, we say thank you very much for being great company.
Join us again same time next week on Politics Today.